Candace.
And I'm Nick.
And we're your hosts today for Mount Zion Little Known Black History Facts. Hey, I have a question for you. Who was the first black doctor? Most people immediately think of Dr. Daniel Hall Williams. While it's true that Dr. Williams was renowned for the first in the U.S. to repair a pericardium, essentially performing open heart surgery, the country's first black physician was actually James Durham. Although he never received the degree MD, Durham, born a slave in 1762, was the first African American to formally practice medicine in the U.S. Several of Durham's masters were doctors, and one encouraged him to practice medicine. He first worked as a nurse to buy his freedom in 1783. He then opened his first medical practice at age 26. Later, he opened a practice in Philadelphia and became the foremost specialist in the disorders of the throat.
Wow, I had no idea. Now here's something for you. What was the nickname the Native Americans gave African American soldiers of the 10th Regiment U.S. Army? Buffalo Soldiers, so named in 1866 for their dogmatic fighting style. Congress went on to establish the Buffalo Soldiers as the first peacetime all-black regiment in the U.S. Army. Here's something else you may not know. Buffalo Soldiers were some of the first National Park Rangers, serving in Yosemite National Park, Sequoia National Park, and General Grant National Park. U.S. Army regiments had historically served these national parks since 1891, but until 1899 in the Buffalo Soldiers, all the soldiers serving were white.
Now, ladies, we've all heard of Madam C.J. Walker, who made millions of her line of hair care products. But have you heard of Mary Ellen Pleasant? Pleasant was also a millionaire, abolitionist, and a conductor of the Underground Railroad. Born around 1814 in Nantucket, Massachusetts, Pleasant wrote in her memoirs that she was born to a slave voodoo priestess and the youngest son of former Virginia Governor James Pleasant. Pleasant worked and bought her own freedom. A fair-skinned black woman, she and her first husband, James White, both passed for white and took on the profession of the Underground Railroad conductors, literally slave stealers, as she would write. During the gold rush and after her first husband died, Pleasant remarried and worked at the Cape and Heiserman's restaurant in San Francisco. There she listened to financial tips and gossip from the rich white men and befriended Thomas Bell of the local bank. Using those tips, she and her husband made a fortune of over $30 million. Pleasant used her money to help support blacks in the politics. That's how she took on the nickname, the Black City Hall. She died in 1904 and is buried at Toluca Cemetery in Napa, California.
Medicine, military, business. Let's not forget about literary giants. When speaking about the first African-American novelist to be published in the United States, many incorrectly claim it was Williams Wells Brown and his 1853 novel, Clotel, also known as The President's Daughter. Wells is considered the first African-American to write a novel, but his book was published in the UK. The first novel published by an African-American in this country was Sketches from the Life of a Free Black, also known as Our Nig, by Harriet E. Wilson in 1859. The book fell into obscurity soon after it was published, only rediscovered in 1982.
More recently, The Curse of the Caste, also known as The Slave Bride by Julia C. Collins, is also noteworthy. Some of Collins' 1865 book is the first fully fictional novel published by an African American. One thing is for certain, the first novel published in this country by African American was done so by, who else? A woman.
So much history, so little time. Until next week, remember, you have a right to your opinion.
But you don't have a right to your own facts. Those are the facts, and that's a wrap. Bye.
Bye.
See you next Sunday.
Hey, Candace, I got one for you.
What's that?
Who made the famous line, I brought you in this world, and I'll take you out?
Now, why does that have anything to do with Black History?
Now, you know it was one of us that made that line.
Yeah, you know that was your mama.
In Long Beach, it all comes down to what you look like. It's all about color. If you're Latino or Asian or black, you could get blasted anytime you walk out your door.
You know nothing, come easy. You gotta try real hard.
My name is Erin Buell. Schools are divided into separate tribes. I'm not sitting near him.
I can't go back there alone.
Man, I know you ain't talking to me.
We kill each other over race, pride, and respect. We fight for our America.
So what you're saying is, if the Latinos weren't here, or the Cambodians, or the blacks, or the whites, or whoever they are, if they weren't here, everything would be better for you.
Lady, stop acting like you're trying to understand our situation.
Why don't you explain it to me?
I'll be posted up right here. We in a war.
You're a first-time teacher. You can't make someone want an education. Listen to me, all of you. Stand on the line if you've lost a friend to gang violence. Stay on the line if you've lost more than one friend. 3, 4 or more. From this moment on, the person you were, that person's turn is over. Everyone has their own story. We're gonna write in these journals.
There's no place like this out there for us. I can't go back to the way it used to be.
Need you. Nah, man, I can't.
Nobody listens to a teenager, and they don't see the wars we fight every day.
Sit there till the police came. Then I heard gunshots.
She told us we had something to say to people.
My dream is to be